Hi, my name is Alicia Lucarelli, and this is my informational speech, and it's 11/8/09. Hearts pounding, the gate is about to open, you hear the stomping, ready to go. The gate opens and buzzer goes off, and you're running at full speed on the back of a high-strung thoroughbred. The Kentucky Derby is one of the sports that has made it through the times. The Kentucky Derby is one of the biggest races in the world. It has been around since about 1789 and has made it through the good and the bad times. I will be giving a brief history of what the Kentucky Derby has gone through in the past. I'm going to show two racehorses that have given people hope and dreams when they may have nothing to believe in. These are horses running. I get my information from Elliot Jessica, Kentucky Derby Facts and History. Moving out west was a very big deal to the Kentucky Derby. A lot of racetracks moved out west to like Missouri and Texas. There were 314 tracks across the country at one point. And more people were coming, not as much as just the rich people. There was more open to basically everyone. They were starting to build grandstands bigger than they normally did, and they were building dirt tracks which were faster than grass tracks. This is one of the Kentucky Derby ballot things that you would put in. In the anti-gambling laws, they went through a point where it was illegal to gamble in the states of New York and California. There were a few others that you could not gamble, and they had the Pari Mutual. It was a French wagering system that replaced corporate books. Payment received winning determined by number of bets placed on each horse, fixed percentage. And then the total amount wagered goes to the track and the taxes. It was about half and half to everyone, which brought down the racetracks to about 25 across the country. It kind of just plummeted and people just didn't want to go anymore because the fun part of racing is gambling your money on a horse and seeing if the horse wins or not. This is a racetrack back in the day. When they started getting bigger, people started more architecture. Some history to the racetracks. During the Civil War, racetracks were used for military. A lot of horses were used, and they would take them to the racetracks and they'd shut them down, and they used the stalls for military people. And the photo finish started coming up, which helped a lot of people with knowing, okay, well, who actually really won instead of just sometimes guessing. And then the television came out, which helped too. A lot of people started watching TV. So horse winning. Horses running. Then I have Seabiscuit. He was owned by Charles Swirt Hardwin. He was an American businessman. He came over to our country. He was very good in the automobiles, and his son died at a very early age driving a car. So he got into horse racing, and he decided to buy Seabiscuit. And when Seabiscuit first came out, he didn't win anything. He lost almost every race he came into, and people thought, why would they want a racehorse that just couldn't even race? It was weird, and a lot of people thought he was crazy for the one when he bought him. But all of a sudden, when he bought him, he all of a sudden started winning. A different jockey rode him, and suddenly he was winning every race he went in, which he won a lot of money doing it. This is just his status. It's all about like who his sire is, who his dad and his mom are, when he was foaled meaning when he was born, his owner and his trainers, and how much he earned. $437,000 and $730. And Seabiscuit has a book now, and he was like, when the Depression came around, he was like the hero that brought everyone out of all the depression of being no money, nothing, and he was the one that came up from nothing and won everything. So they could relate to him. And he was trained by a cowboy, a crazy man that just thought it was fun, and he was ridden by a jockey that was blind in one eye. So a lot of people thought, he had nothing and everything was against him. And this is some of his other things. That's him. This is another race, Kentucky Oats, and the run for the roses. And Barbaro. He's an amazing thoroughbred that changed people's lives. He was amazing just as a yearling when he was really little. When he was a year old, he was broke to ride and he started on track racing. And he was good on both dirt and grass tracks, which is pretty much amazing for a horse because normally they're either better on one or the other, which made him one of the ones that everyone wanted to bet on because they all knew he would do good no matter what. He won the Run to the Rosage, which is the Kentucky Derby. He was out of 20 horses. It was a 132 run. It was on May 6, 2006. And he won the Kentucky Derby. He was second favorite in the race. It was in history that he was the most amazing time, the only one in history to win all the races and the Kentucky Derby, which is pretty amazing for such a young horse. And at the Preakness Stakes, he wasn't acting himself. He kind of was off a little. He was kind of crazy acting that morning. And he ended up running through the gate before the gate went down. And the vets checked him. And they figured out that's him running through the gates. He was fine. There wasn't anything wrong with him. And he kept running. And he ended up breaking his right ankle in 20 places. And he had to get rushed to a hospital, and they fixed it, which you can see all the screws in it. But they had to put him down about 3 or 4 months later. Beginning of horse racing, it was all about the horses. More now, it's kind of more about just making the money. And the Kentucky Derby still has made it through the Depression, through hard times, and is still here today. The Kentucky Derby is the time of the year you don't want to miss because history is going to be made. A lot of horses have won and shocked everyone. And the Kentucky Derby is the biggest race and a hard one to win. It shows that people need to look at horse racing as a sport plus taking care of the animals because a lot of people don't look at the animals, they just want the money. So that's my presentation on horse racing. That was a lot of